heading off alone, but you should know I'm leaving you behind, but you're with me where I go. You've been good to me, as far as I can see. I never would have got here on my own.
Welcome everyone to Expanding Your Consciousness. Today is March 28th, 2023, and this is our final meetup for Expanding Your Consciousness. I decided that I really have other projects I'd like to get involved with, but I do want to thank everyone who has participated in this project that I've been doing on Meetup. And I do feel that we have covered a lot of topics in this, and it's helped us to build a community and also long-lasting friendships. So the people that have joined us tonight have been people that have been in some of our videos, and some of us have been in almost all of them. So I do want to thank people like Brent and Kelly, and of course Dave, who have been in numerous videos for Expanding Your Consciousness. Brian was in our earlier videos, and Sarah was just in our last video on what is life all about. And Sarah is Kelly's sister. They're both my nieces.
Is
So,
Kenny coming tonight?
Kenny will not be joining us.
Oh,
I was
too bad.
really hoping he would, but Kenny is taking ballet lessons. And so he just started doing that the last couple of weeks. But Brent, you can always communicate back and forth with him too, right? And also, I did invite Shima, so I'm hoping she saw. I've sent a couple of emails to her. She did say she was going to join us, but maybe she'll join a little later. So what I'd like to do, just so you know, we have 3 people joining us tonight that are in Ontario, so it is getting late there. And so I thought maybe I'd just show some of the videos that we've done in the past, just a quick review, and then we can have an open forum. So when I started, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Okay. When I started Expanding Your Consciousness, I really wanted to cover things such as unusual experiences people have had in their life. And because I had several mystical experiences that really could not be explained in our 5 sense reality type of world, I thought, well, if I've had these experiences, I'm sure other people have had them too. So in our earlier videos, we were joined by Lady Colleen Heller. And Lady is a woman that I met when I was working as an international teacher in Egypt. And so in the earlier videos, we're sharing some of these unusual experiences we've had in our lives. And then as time went on, we had Shima joining us when she, talked about, and here you see Nikos joining us there too. This is when that little voice speaks, listen, right? And she talked about how she was warned, I think she was warned not to ride her bike down a certain street or something, or on a certain road, and she had an accident. And so again, she talks about that. I talked about some not telepathic, but some third eye images I saw with pets, or just some communication with pets. That was another topic we did. Some of the most popular videos we did were on living on prana, and I've noticed that they've received a lot of hits, like 812 views, 143 views. Kenny talked about the consciousness of water. Kelly did a video about, how she maneuvers in this world, because Kelly is blind, totally blind. And she talked about the type of artificial intelligence programs she uses to help her, go from place to place, especially in very busy cities, and how she also uses that device in her work too. We got into discussions on God, religion, and miracles. Do we have a purpose for being here? We even covered things such as humor, movies, music that expand our consciousness. And I will, encourage everyone, if you have a chance to, look at some of these videos, if you haven't already. We also covered things such as intentional communities, because some people felt that they wanted to build their own little communities of like-minded people. And I know Faith joined us for that one. Then we got into healing intentions. In fact, when Brent was going through a health crisis, we were doing intentional healing for him. We had numerous open forums on a wide variety of topics, such as reincarnation, quantum healing, hypnosis, using things such as psychedelics and magic mushrooms, near-death and out-of-body experiences. That was a very popular video with 811 views. We also got into things such as images, how beautiful images can have a great impact on our consciousness, and sharing words of wisdom was another topic. And going back to the one about images, we decided to look at images in the tarot cards. So Alexandria, who actually reads the tarot for a living, she joined us in a couple of those videos. And then the last few videos have been on things such as spiritual warfare, discussing God and is there a divine order in the universe. And then our last one included Kelly and Sarah, and it was what's life all about. So we have 83 or 85 videos posted on the channel, but some of those videos are part 1, part 2, some are shorter portions of the longer videos. Okay, so Kelly, is there anything you'd like to say or share?
Yeah, this has been a really good group, and yeah, I've met some nice people, and I mean Brian, Diane, Dave, Sarah. I know you guys, right? So you guys are wonderful and cool. But and I love you guys, yeah. But others in the group I didn't know, and yeah, you guys are really good people. So hope we can meet again. And I'm gonna check out and go to bed.
Yes, I know. I hope you feel better. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining,
Yeah.
Kelly.
Thanks, Dee. Or
Okay.
Diane.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right.
That's all
Bye,
right.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Bye,
good
Good
night,
night.
Kelly.
Bye. Good night.
Good night,
Get
Cal.
better. Get better.
Or Kelly.
Jeff
Good
Kelly.
night.
Hi,
Yeah.
Kelly. Thanks,
Good
Kelly.
night.
Good night, Brian. I might be seeing
Kelly.
you in the summer.
Please do.
Good night,
Come
everybody.
for a visit.
Good night.
I'll descend upon your town. Bye-bye.
Right.
There we go. Okay. Sarah, is there anything you'd like to say?
Well, I joined last week for the first time, so that was quite it was a good topic too. What is
Wow.
life?
I saw your comment,
Yeah.
so I did reply to it. So. But it was, I think, a nice way of
You did
kind of
reply or you
finishing
didn't?
it. I did reply.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So.
Okay.
And I know that, just so you know, Sarah has been receiving, the links and the information all along. So it's just you being a busy mother. Yeah, it gave you a chance to join last week. So, and Nick, is there anything you'd like to say? Because I know it's late for Sarah and you. So,
Well, I just wanted to say that, Diane, it's been, let's put it this way. I think what was really neat about when this first started and we were all like you and Dave and myself, I think the very first one, I was at your place, wasn't I?
that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And
just
we were having some camera problems or problems with
Yeah.
the computer. So the three of us had to sit here together. Yeah.
Definitely. And unfortunately, because
in Ontario, and life really got really busy. I was quite impressed right now with the list of videos you put together and that you showed me. And I'm just like, holy smokes, darn, I wish I was part of some of the conversations, because I, as you well know, I've experienced a lot of stuff as well. But in a roundabout way, what I'm trying to say is thanks for taking the time to actually making us conscious of all this stuff that defines human nature and defines us as people, because we are beyond the physical. And I honestly think that this has been a very interesting path that you chose to expose this to and enlighten a lot of us. The only thing I really feel bad about is I didn't partake as much as I would have wanted to, but
Well, thank you
it's
for
my
your
loss.
thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it, Nick.
You
I
know.
do think it is for seekers. It's a good list of videos that
Mhm.
because when you're seeking, you're exploring all these different things, right?
Oh, for
So
sure.
it it gives them a chance to tap into some of
No,
those.
I will definitely tap into and look at some of the videos for sure. But I just want to say thanks for organizing it and taking, it's a lot of work to do this. And hats off to you and Dave for being patient. And
Yeah.
yeah, thanks. Thank you, Diane.
Yes, thank you, Nick.
Yeah. All righty.
And
So I don't know
Kathy.
if I'm going to be coming out to BC. We'll see. Hopefully, if I will, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And all
Brian,
the best with micro stretching too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, hope to see you, Nick.
Yeah, I was, yeah, hopefully, but I'll call you guys. I'll let you guys know about some health stuff that I'm going through right now. So
Oh,
I'll give you guys a call.
all
Okay.
right.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. Take
Bye,
care
everybody.
of yourself.
Bye, Nikos.
Thanks. See ya. Bye.
Okay. Kathy, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I'm sorry for coming late. I was just
That's
on the
okay.
phone earlier. Thank you.
This is our last Expanding Our Consciousness meetup. So I think on the channel, the YouTube channel, I'll still be posting the occasional video of interest, and we'll go from there.
Farewell. Thank you.
Have you looked at some of our videos?
No, I haven't. I was about to. I just saw the meetup. I was like, oh, like last one. I was like, oh, expand your consciousness. And then I jumped on. So no, I haven't had the chance.
Okay. All right. And Brent, is there anything you'd like to talk about? And just so you know, people like Brent and Dave, have been in a lot of the videos. Brian was in the earlier video that we started. And Sarah was just in our last video that was posted. Sarah is my niece. And Dave is my partner. So, okay. Brent, anything you'd like to say?
Well, it's been good. I mean, I've enjoyed the ones that I've come to, and I've had a chance to say what I wanted to say, and I've gotten some new perspectives on how people look at things. So I mean, overall, I think it's been a really great experience, and there's been a lot of groups. I think we're into I'm into the 30s of how many groups we've had. So it's been great. Perhaps you'll think about maybe doing this once a month, or once every 2 months or something, just to keep it going a little bit, because it's been a really great experience. I hope Shima comes tonight.
Yes, I'm hoping she does join us. And I did send the video link again, just as a reminder to everyone. So I'm hoping she saw that. And if not, then, one thing that Kelly, Dave, and I have discussed is when Kelly comes out here, we might meet up with Shima, or just Dave and I can meet up with her. So, because she's just in North Vancouver. So, but yeah.
So yeah, it's been great. And I've had some interesting experiences recently that I want to share at some point
Sure.
during the evening. So yeah.
Any other comments? Dave, Brian, Sarah?
Just to go along with that theme, it's really glad I participated and got into discussing these things. It was worthwhile and help. Like Brent said, you get some perspective on other people's perspectives. And just sharing that, it's been a great experience. And you don't often get into deeper kind of subjects and with, you know, from your day-to-day in your day-to-day living, but it's important, and it's been very worthwhile. I'm really glad we got this rolling and had it go on for a while.
And Brian,
And we got to meet some great people, and
definitely.
I'd love to meet Brent in person at some point, and we got to meet Kenny and a lot of people we know who come and participate. That's been excellent. Really enjoy it.
And Brian, anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, well, I wanted to come. I've been to a couple of meetings in the past, and really wanted to support Diane's effort, because Diane's been a very close friend for almost 6 years, and we met over David Icke is how we first connected. So that was an expanding your conscious theme. Like David Icke is quite expanding your conscious. So I've learned a lot from Diane over the years. Like she researches a lot of stuff, she learns stuff, and she's very well spoken. So she can go a lot of different areas. She's I've learned a lot from Diane. So just want to come to the last meeting. I was free tonight and wanted to drop in and thank Dan for all of her efforts.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, very knowledgeable and
it.
well-spoken individual. Yeah.
I also want to say what's important about doing these, because I mean, Brian, you do your videos too, and I'm putting this out to all of you. I think it is important to share these deeper thoughts with family and friends, right? So, Brent, you've joined us in a lot of videos, so you can share those videos with others, or, create your own as well. But when I look at my own life, and as someone who did not have children, I have my nieces, and, I have my nephew, and also they have children. So at least I can leave something behind, something that they can look at and get a sense of, what was their Aunt Diane thinking about, and what was she exploring, that sort of thing, right? I just thought it was important to do something like that. And Dave, of course, you get to share that too with your family. So, and Sarah, right? Who, Sarah has Charlie. And how old's Charlie, Sarah?
18 months. So a year and a
just
half.
her speaking in the last video, right? That's something that she can share with him to her views. Okay, so let's open it up. Brent, you said there's something you want to talk about.
Well, for one thing, I found an interesting channel on YouTube that talks about interesting things about the mind, and there are these traps that we get stuck into because of the way we think. Have you ever walked into a store to buy something and been overwhelmed, for example, by like how many options you have? Like if you shop on Amazon, it can take forever. There's this overwhelming feeling that we get. And if you see less options, you're more likely to actually buy something. And in one of these videos, he talks about an example of some company that had 30 different examples of something they were trying to sell in a store, and they weren't selling very many. So they cut down the options to 6, and their sales went through the roof because people could now handle that much. So there are little things like that about the human mind that are interesting. And I put a link in the chat. So if you're interested, you want to get that before we end the meeting. And that will take you to the site. And it's very professionally done. It uses beautiful animations to make points. So it's really, really worthwhile. And there's part 1 and part 2 of mind traps that are really interesting. One of them I want to talk about later on is confirmation bias, where you'll have an idea in mind about the way things are, and you'll look for evidence to support that, and you'll sort of ignore things that don't support that. and it can keep you like in a very tight echo chamber by thinking that way. But we all do at times. You know, we think we're right and we want to show somebody something, and then we just take the first thing that comes along. So it's helped expand my consciousness and my mind to find this channel. And then something else that's really interesting that's been happening lately is I have this practice that I call talking out loud. And if you Google it, there are some people that do it. There are psychologists that are interested in it. Sports figures have been doing it. You just start talking about something out loud to yourself. And
I
it's so-
just want to mention too, Brent, your video on talking out loud is on the Expanding Your Consciousness channel, right? So people should look for that too.
Yeah, I noticed you missed it as we
Informative.
went up, but I didn't feel
Yeah.
like talking out loud at that time. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't- I
yeah.
didn't
No,
look-
no. I was just skimming through quickly, so I apologize
yeah,
for
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, it slows your mind down from the all over the map nature of the way it is, you know. It goes crazy sometimes, but if you're talking to yourself out loud, it slows the mind down. It also focuses your attention on what you're talking about. And if you're talking about what's happening to you in the present moment, like that it doesn't get much better than that. And it doesn't take long to realize that it really is helpful. And I've been doing it for 13 or 14 years. And sometimes I have really incredible insights about the nature of consciousness or perception, the present moment, the ego, and all these interesting topics. And so I'll grab my recorder and then I'll just start recording. And so over the years, I've wanted to put all this together and make a book. So there are options to transcribe the audio files into text, but you've got to send your files to somebody to do it. It's expensive. And so I was waiting around, and the software just became available. It uses AI to some extent. You point it to an audio file, and you have about 5 different qualities of like super good or just okay or average. You can pick the quality you want on the transcription, and then it will go ahead and transcribe the file. And then you spend 7 or 10 seconds just clicking around and making it into a text file, and it's done. And there it is. And it's over 95% accurate. So if you've got any transcriptions you want to use, it's an excellent piece of software. It's called Buzz, B-U-Z-Z, and you can pick it up on GitHub. That's where you can find it.
Okay.
So anyway, I've been using that now, and I have over 4,000 audio files. And that adds up to about 350 hours worth of me talking out loud. There's of course some overlap and some duplication in there, but some of it is really pretty good. So I played with the software now, and I spent about a month getting it all together, and I now have all 4,000 of those files transcribed.
Wow.
So now I can sit down, and it didn't cost me anything. So I can now sit down and I can read those files twice as fast as I can listen to them, at least. And I can go through and pick the ones out that have got worthwhile material in them. And then I can put them together, and I can finally start writing this book that's been a dream for a number of years. So that's really really cool. So if you ever run into any audio files, it takes just about any audio file type. Also, it takes video files. So if you've got MP4 files, you can actually take videos, and it could be videos and you could get a script for a movie or whatever. Like if you need the option, it's a really good thing to do. So anyway, the links down there in chat.
Great.
So I'm super excited about this. It's got me really, really excited about this, about having these experiences and getting spiritual insights, and then being able to transcribe those and then be able to put those together into a book format, which I'm really looking forward to get done this year.
And with the book format, is this something you hope to put on Amazon, or what do you hope to do with that?
Well, yeah, I want it to be a book that people can find, and it'll be published. Of course, it's going to have to cost money because the publisher is going to need that, and I need a publisher to get it out there. You know, putting something on Amazon doesn't mean it's going to do much. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
And any thoughts? Well, maybe you don't want to share that, or maybe you don't know yet, but the title, is it talking aloud?
Well,
Aloud.
it'll be something more like perception, self-awareness, and who or what is it I am again? That's a possible title I'm thinking about.
Okay. That's good.
Mm.
And thanks for sharing about the technology, because people are always interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Kathy?
Oh, I just had a follow-up question for Brent. This is really cool. So it's Git, like GIT hub, not GitHub, right?
Yeah, it's GitHub, GIT, right?
Okay. And then Buzz is the
Buzz is
okay.
the name, right?
And there's no security issues. And are you paying for this, or
No,
you
no.
got a free trial?
It's like a free piece. It's like freeware, actually. The guy who wrote it and put it together has a GitHub page. This is where everybody goes and does software, and applications are built there. It's a public area,
Wow.
mostly. And so you can go there, and there's lots of other kinds of software there to get. But this is not commonly known by a lot of people, like you're asking the question. I mean, GitHub is not, it's mostly for programmers.
Oh, cool.
But it's a very cool program, and all he needs to do is automate it just a little more, and then it's totally automatic, and you don't need to go in there and spend time telling it to make it a text file. It's kind of a waste of time for
Wow.
that alone. To figure it out, it took me 11 hours of goofing around with that to do all the files. So it's kind of tedious and boring if you're doing 100 files or something at a time. But nevertheless, for what the software can do, and you can pick out the like how fine-tuned you want it to be. So there's the first tunings are like not that great, and then the middle is good enough, and then there's the super ones which take a long time to do, but they're as good as it can get. So if you can pick which you want, and then they take various amounts of time to do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brent.
Yeah, that's really helpful, right? As people are looking at ways of taking their audios or videos, like you said, right?
Mhm.
Putting them into that form.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to open it up to everyone. Anything else that you'd like to discuss? Expanding your consciousness, it's open. So,
Cool. I didn't know what the parameters were
yeah,
because I
no,
know
it's
this is the
open.
last one for y'all. This is the first one for me.
So, Kathy, are you in the US or in?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, okay. So you're not too far from us.
I'm from
That's
BC,
great.
BC, right? Vancouver.
Yeah,
Okay.
Vancouver. Yeah,
That's awesome.
so that's great. And were you hoping, like, have you had mystical experiences, certain things that have happened that, gee, I don't know whether I should share this with people, kind of thing?
Yeah, I really wish this wasn't your last meetup because I feel the energy in this group, and y'all are just, I love the inquiry, the curiosity, the openness. But yes, I just got back from India at a Himalayan pilgrimage and with the guru for the last 3 weeks. And my whole life, lots of supernatural things has happened. And I grew up as a Vietnamese Catholic, but saw ghosts, when I was young. It's kind of part of my family. I thought it was normal to dream about Mother Mary and Jesus, but I started realizing that every night I can remember my dreams, and I could lucid dreams, and what is in my dreams, it's in real life. When I'm having astral fights with entities or demons, I get scratches and scars. So the veil between consciousness is so, the awareness, and that there's expanded consciousness. So then when I got older, I was interested in science and spirituality, and I found that India's spirituality is so vast. It's the ancient science. I love how the breath and the mind are interconnected, right? So the yogis have taught for many, 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 many thousands of years that it's harder to control the mind, but if you slow down the breath, like the tortoise that lives hundreds of years, then you can slow down what they call the monkey mind, the restless mind. And in there, there's different states of samadhi, which is expanded consciousness. So we think enlightenment is, you hear it in Buddhism or other places, but no, there's actually expanded states of consciousness. So there's Nirvikalpa samadhi, there's Cervikalpa samadhi, there's Dharma meg samadhi. There's And the great thing was that being in the presence of a Kundalini Kriya Yoga master, he gave the 3 graces of what's called Shiva Pot, Prana Pot, and Shakti Pot. So Shiva Pot is basically the no mind state. So when we are just absorbed in his presence and his true consciousness, I don't know how this happens, but even when before we go to sleep, your mind is thinking, oh, did I put the the clothes from the washer in the dryer? Or you wake up, but I don't know how long time, because time and distance is insignificant in the state of this no mind state. But there was no thoughts, no awareness. I was just gone. And those are just the tastes of samadhi, deeper levels of consciousness. And I've been, I don't know if you all heard of the autobiography of a yogi by
Yes, we read
Paramahansa
it.
Yogananda.
We have it here.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so when I was 18, this was over 15, over close to 15 years ago, I read this, and Yogananda changed my life, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, I could, talk about Babaji, or, think about Babaji, and just thinking about him has this reverence, or he gives his blessing. So I don't like believing in things blindly. I like to test it out like a scientist. So I remember one night I was like, fine, if what you say is real, I want you, Yogananda, to come in my dream tonight, and I want it to be in black and white. So whether or not you can call it subconscious or real, that night he showed up in black and white. And I was like, what the, I'm just tripped out because like I don't I've done weed once or twice, but even in the deep states of weed, nothing compares to the deep states of meditation that gets me into a very deep level of, I don't know what you call it, expanded consciousness, right? But like these are internal toolboxes that one can reach. And these yogis and rishis and yoginis that came before us in robes of light, in different cultures and different religions and no religions, right? It doesn't matter. Their love for something higher. You can call it divine God, divine essence, God conscious. You can call it whatever, right? It's the meaning behind it is, I mean, the words, just words are so limited, but to experience it, right, is a whole different thing. So one, if you've never tasted ice cream, strawberry ice cream, you can talk until you're blue in the face about what it tastes like to somebody, but the experience of tasting that ice cream is completely different. And when you have tasted that ice cream, you're like, wow, what are we capable of more than being human beings, right? There's always that saying, we're spiritual beings having a human being experience rather than vice versa. But when you experience states of these higher consciousness, like I went to different temples in India, and back then I was ignorant in that sense. I'm like, who cares? Like I thought like temples are like churches, but these are ancient. They're thousands of years old. They're hundreds of years old. They have people chanting mantras and jop and the vibration there. And when you go there, it's like smoking the best weed in your life. It's like you're in a different state. And I'm like, holy shit. So excuse my French, but even I'm like, where the hell am I? Like, I had to bring my consciousness back in my body, because when you are soaring, it's kind of like that tethered, that link. Your mind gets like, who am I? What am I got to go back and identify to this body. But I've been in deep, I don't know about y'all, but have you ever been that state where you're not even attached to your body and you're floating, whatever that is, and then all of a sudden you're like, where the hell am I? What am I doing? And then you just get pulled back. And I'm like, oh my God, like there is a difference between the observer, right? Like our ego, and then the observer. And what they call in that deep layer of Vedic astrology, I don't know what you call it, Vedic or Vedanta, is that that's the soul. So the Atma is the soul. The Buddhi, Buddhi, is the intellectual mind. The Buddhi thinks it's the soul, but the soul knows it's the soul. And I don't know if y'all ever have been still or relaxed or half awake and half sleeping, and you just know whatever voice that's talking to you. Like there, have you ever heard two voices? Literally, it's like the angel. It's like my voice, but I'm so scared. What's happening when I see entities or ghosts? And then there's this other voice go, no, you're stronger than that. Stay. Right? When I see black shadows coming, right? Or like when I'm half awake and half asleep. It's always in that state. What do you call that? And
Yeah.
so I don't want to take up
A
too much
liminal
time, but
state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Where
So
these black shadows can visit. There's a world out there that is deeper than just this.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
call me crazy, right? But I'm mostly,
No,
honestly mostly in the astral world. Like I I'm not married, I have a house, I have to pay the bills, I have to go to work. But whenever I sleep, I'm doing training, I'm fighting all. I don't know how to say it. I'm never at rest. I'm always active. So
well,
yeah, sorry, you were saying.
Kathy, I think most of the people you're looking at right now have been on that path, something along those lines for quite a long time. And we all have, have had different experiences. And it's great to see you so enthusiastic about your experiences. And we can totally relate because we in different ways have been on the same searching and have found ways of just to get in touch with that longing. That's sort of what I wanted to talk about myself tonight, was that was the ever present feeling in my life, was that there was this longing to be connected to that other. And we were into Paramahansa Yogananda, practiced with them for a while, did Buddhism for quite a long time, and other
Yeah.
practices. And yeah, that's I think that was the point I wanted to make, is that we all of us have found ways, who are searchers, who have found ways to make a connection. And a lot of what we relate about in this group was how we got there, what the experiences were. And it continues in different ways for all of us. And mine, recently, it's been, it's kind of gotten fairly serious for me in the last little while, is non-attachment. And however you want to think about it or talk about it and practice it, renunciation of this realm to free yourself to stay in touch with the other, and to stay connected with that. And something Brent touched on were these traps, these mind traps. And this is what we get constantly. We're bombarded with things that take us away from our longing, perhaps, for some people. And we get caught up in a lot of material things and a lot of drama, and a lot of it is self-indulgence, and we're only thinking about ourselves. But so I think what I've been working on is just more of a renunciation, and thinking about that, staying present in the moment and watching my mind. And that's a continued practice of mine. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's the work. So I think that's about it. That's where I'll wrap it up. Keep on keeping on, man. Oh, and Kathy, have you were you originally from the South, or somewhere south? Because y'all comes up quite a bit, and I have relatives down in Texas. And
Oh, you know what? No, I've just been
no.
using that a
Oh,
lot. So
okay. Well, I enjoy hearing it. Thank you.
I can comment for Kathy, like it's I can tell from your smile and your cheerfulness that you're developed. You've come a long way. You're like 33. It's good. I mean, you're doing fine. And yeah, the sources and Indian sources you cited are very good. I'm just wondering, do you have like a community or a teacher, somebody you can work with, or are all alone in Seattle? Do you have a support group? Because I know, like, my spiritual development when I was 17, I had my big spiritual phase, and I did have my dad, like, it was his books that got me going, and he was doing meditation, but I really kind of felt there wasn't really many people to talk to. And then it faded away. It was gone within months. Just wondering, what's your support system like?
thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself, Brian. I heard something from a Indian guru who said, when the cry is ascending, surely an answer will come. So my cry and my yearn to know God or goddess, I don't even know what, right? I was just like, this is not where I want to be. I don't want to be caught in this drama, this world. I feel like a black sheep. So I cried and cried and cried. And it's funny because, and I cried up. I didn't cry like, I cried with devotion, with bhakti. I cried so hard in my heart that I knew that the demand of the universe will come, because it was sincere. It's like I had this longing, what Dave had mentioned, right? I had to connect, to go back to the source. And so throughout my journey, surprisingly, in the like supernatural world, I had guides like that I could see that were with me. But most importantly, I had guides physically, and they came from church, Catholic church. They came from mentors. They came from friends. They came from bad experiences. But yes, I do have a community. Thank God I have a mentor, and I've been, around for, I mean, my my friend has been around for 10 plus years. Like that they've done the meditation, they've done the work. We have a meetup, a Kundalini Kriya Yoga meetup, and there's people that I am mentoring, and there's people after. So we're all looking out after each other. Does that make sense? And it took a long time because SRF or Ananda, I forgot. Like, remember, you have to like read for a year or two. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just want to practice Kriya. I don't want to do, like I know everyone has to do the work, but the eagerness of the heart, I was like, I just want to practice it. I'm not intellectual and book smart. I just want to jump in. And thank God I have found a master who is a Kundalini Kriya Yoga master, who is that speaks to me, and to each their own, right? Everyone has their own paths, and I had to go and learn through the new age psychic, do the psychic development classes, and then I always hit a ceiling. But I have not hit a ceiling. And I say I'm the biggest skeptic of this practice because I want something deeper. But this practice is making me go deeper because it evolves. It's like I haven't hit a ceiling. I don't want to say you outgrow your friends, but sometimes you just don't fit in a box
Well,
anywhere.
sometimes you outgrow
Right?
your friends, Kathy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was trying to be nice, but you see, or
You do.
outgrow. I don't know. It's like, okay, I used to love crystals. I'm gonna be honest. I have like tons of crystals, but 10 years later, I'm like, oh, I don't need these crystals anymore. They served this purpose, as in they're companions at that time, right? They were my friends. And now I'm like, oh, I want to gift these crystals because maybe it can help somebody else on their journey, right? It's just when things don't fit anymore, you let it go and it's natural, right? So yeah, so I'm just glad I have friends who are and mentors who are ahead in the practice of meditation, who can guide me. Because sometimes I'm like, what am I experiencing, right? Like dreams where they're crazy, right? Like, man, these dreams are wild. Like sometimes it's just weird astral dreams. And then I'm like, can you tell me what's going on? And I have somebody who's been there and go, this is the mantra you use if you want to XYZ. And I would use the mantra in my dreams and it would dissolve. And I'm like, cool. So I like experimenting. It's like an alchemist or a scientist. So yes, I have a community, and I have to, and what I have been given, I give back to those who are on the path in whatever way I can serve. Right.
Hey, you're doing fine. You're doing good. Very cheerful. It's great that you came tonight.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This is a great group. Are you sure, y'all? This is the last? Just joking.
y'all.
Yes, I'm glad that you have joined us tonight, right? Because it's your enthusiasm is going to be contagious to the people watching this. So that's great. Brent, Sarah, is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to add a couple of things, I guess, about what you just said. Yeah, my early days in all this was kind of crazy, and I did a lot of drugs, and I was trying to find something, and I picked up a lot of ideas from other people, and a lot of things that were written. I'd read those, and it was always about something outside, though. Like somebody was outside, or some teaching seemed to be outside, and then finally I got to a point where I started realizing that all of these guys, all these teachers, all these gurus, they found something, but it came from within them. They got past the point of needing somebody on the outside. And when you remember that we're all one, and when you know that we're all one underneath our egos, then it's like there's a source that's coming from within, and it's coming from within all of us, and we're all able to get into that space. There's nobody that's really special in this. Like, Jesus himself said that if you like what I do, you can do it too, and even better. So, I mean, what he was saying is that it's in all of us. So you get to a point where you finally realize that, and then you start doing whatever it takes to find that source of truth within yourself. And that's when I started doing talking out loud, and that's when I woke up into all this, and that's when it really started hitting me. And so I'll just start a conversation with myself, and the present moment is constantly changing, right? So I can't predict what's going to be said, and you realize right away that you're not the one who's talking. You realize that you're not consciously picking and choosing your words. You realize that you don't even know what you're saying until you can hear what you're saying. And so this feedback loop starts up, and truth actually starts coming up from inside you. And then you realize that the real guru is inside, and that everything's inside. And so then it doesn't matter what's going on with people around you and what trips they're into, because you're not looking for the next trip. You're looking for an even more deeper way to get into the depths of yourself. So whatever you can find that will get you deeper into the depths of yourself, that's the path that works for me now.
Sarah, anything you'd like to say?
I like all the stories that you guys are telling me, especially Kathy. I liked everything that you said. I don't have much to say because I only participated in the last video, so I just enjoy listening to what you guys have to say.
Okay.
You have 2 children?
I have one.
Oh, you have 1 child. Okay. Anything that child has said or done that's sort of gotten you in a really deep way?
What do you mean, what do you mean in a deep way?
Well, has that child awakened anything within you that has helped you in your own life just by being around the child?
Well, I feel like I've always been. I used to be an early childhood educator, so I feel like I know what I'm doing as a parent with children, especially with my own son. So I feel like him and I bond really well, sort of thing. I don't know if that's the question you're looking for,
Well,
per se. I've never
he's
nobody's ever asked me something like that.
he's 18 months, so I guess there's not a whole lot there. But once he starts to talk, I think we
Yeah.
need to pay a lot more attention to children. The children don't have the garbage in them that we do, and I think we can learn a lot from kids just by being with them and getting on their level and communicating them, because they ask great questions.
Yeah,
Well, he's still young.
Yeah.
He's great to watch. We were lucky to spend enough time with him to just see sort of changes in him. It is wonderful. I think he seemed to me he was like he wasn't gonna crawl. He just wanted to walk. And that was just really great to see that, he was to my mind, I'm going, well, if he keeps going like this, he's like really moving quickly. And it'd be interesting to just see, I guess, how quickly he advances. And just
Well, now he's running.
And how much did he crawl? Like, did he really?
Just for like 2 months, maybe
2 months? Yeah, I don't know. I
3 months. He's just like, I gotta go.
Yeah, he just kept wanting to get up on things, and he was super determined. So he's got a real force. He'd be a force to be reckoned with.
Does he talk? Does he talk much?
What's that? Babbles. But yeah, he's starting to say bye. Lately, he's been like, he does it to me too. Even if I'm in the room, he just bye. So he'll say bye, or that, what, this, simple words for now.
Yeah. Sarah, does he pick up on your emotions? Like
Yes.
if you're sad or annoyed,
Well,
does he
you know what?
respond in a certain way?
So yesterday, I rarely ever cry, but I just found out yesterday, one of my best friends, he passed away, as I told you, Diane. So I just was a big mess. And he turned around and looked at me, and he looked really serious, thinking, "Are you okay, mommy?" So it's like he sensed that I was sad.
Yeah,
He knew.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he can sense, and he can also sense if I'm not happy, like if I'm mad. And it makes him mad too. Yeah.
Well, that's very
And
telling.
terrible twos. He's hit terrible twos early.
I mean, that's interesting, right? Because that is how anger works, right? If you think you get
Mhm.
angry at someone, that person takes out on someone else, takes out on someone, right? It just, who knows how far that goes, right?
Oh, either I bring him out there. Actually, no, I don't need to bring him out there. Whenever you guys come back to Ontario, you'll see his whole personality now. He
Yes.
growls at people if he doesn't get his way. So it's like, "Arr!" And
Well,
now
wake 'em up.
he's learned how to hit too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Itzy, do you watch him when he's exploring things? Like if, he's examining things closely and, just as he's learning about the world around him.
Well, I noticed, I'm thinking like maybe somewhere in this room per se.
Or outside in the park, looking
Yeah.
at flowers, whatever, bugs.
Well, he figured out how to put shoes on, which kind of blew my mind. At first, I kept thinking, how did you figure this out? And then it clicked to me like days later. I'm like, oh, he always sees me putting his shoes on. But he automatically just figured out, like, all right, this foot goes into this shoe. This foot goes into this shoe. And yeah, he's really smart.
go
But
wake
yeah,
'em up.
he'll point to things like outside the window as well.
Go wake 'em up, Sarah.
No. No.
Come on.
No.
Yeah, 'cause
I wonder if that's past life knowledge, like knowing to put his foot in the shoe. And also when he starts talking, maybe Brent was getting at the idea, kids might start speaking about their previous life around that age when they speak up until age maybe 6 or 7, then they stop talking about it. So that's the time for parents to be listening for it,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
I
Dave.
agree.
Dave
agree.
had that experience. What, you were 4 years old, Dave, and you're sharing past life.
Oh yeah, geez. Yeah, I had pretty good recollections of past lives and people I knew as my parents. And I was just kept wanting to tell my parents that they're really nice people, but my real parents are gonna come and get me soon. And that was like I knew that. Like I knew I had another life somewhere else, and they were gonna come and get me soon.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's
Can you talk about that some more and what you felt and what you saw and
yeah, I just saw these kind who I knew as my mother and father looking down at me sort of or just that there was an awareness that I knew these people and I could see them more in my mind, but I knew that they were very familiar to me, and I knew they were my parents, and that yeah, I had, and these people who I was living with are very nice, and that's but they were going to come and get me. I kind of had this sense that I was just, yeah, they were taking care of me for a while, and but they would come. Yeah, I can I can sort of see them, what I remember they looked like, and that faded over the years, but it was still like that was a real, real event. in
And
my
weren't
life.
you going to tell your father?
I
that-
did. I was going to. Yeah, I decided that today's the day. I was going to tell him. I had to tell him because he had to know. He was going to be, pretty upset when I disappeared, when these people come to get me. And so I wanted to tell him, but then I realized it was going to make him really sad if I told him. So, if I said, look, I know you're a nice person, but my real parents are going to come and get me soon. So, thanks. But I knew, and it was funny because he and I are playing and we were having a really good time. And I thought, okay, I can't tell him now. He's, I just said, no, I was too, it would make him too sad. So I didn't tell him. Yeah. There was another experience of my sister, well, me and my cousins, my sister, older sister, probably my brother, other sister, were walking into the park. And my cousin Ross and my cousin Sam were with me. And it was something about that. And it reminded me of another time, another past life. And I kind of got my older sister aside and I said, hey, do you remember? Because to me, it was like a recent memory. And of course she would remember. I said, do you remember when Ross, who was my cousin, do you remember when he was our brother and I was older than you? Do you remember that? Because I do, and that we lived in tents. And there was something about that. There was a nomadic lifestyle that we lived and we were like, and I think it was because it was so hot out and we were walking in a line that it triggered that memory, and I had this vivid recollection of that, and so that was interesting. That those couple of instances.
Did they remember or not remember?
No, my sister didn't remember, and she remembered me asking me. I talked to her about it later in life, and she says, "Oh yeah, I remember that," because it was so weird, But she didn't. She just thought, yeah, this guy's a bit curious, or there's something different about him. That's all she remembered thinking was, oh yeah, there's something a little different about this guy. That's, yeah.
Have you had that memory with anybody else you've seen?
I remember, well, not like that, but I've had like, when I met Diane, I felt that there was such an instant kind of recognition that I felt that was probably a past life experience that we had. It was just such a, and there's been other, not the same though, not like I remember this as totally like remembering that past life, but it's just that there was such a strong connection with other people in my life, and they've become like lifelong friends, and there's just something about them and those relationships that are on a different level.
That's significant what you said about Diane. Like, you should explain that feeling. Remember you told me when you first met her, but I didn't know it was like a past life recollection. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's it was a very strong feeling, like everything else stopped, and I was just kind of in awe of like, wow, okay, I have to get to know this person. And so, and
it's a Michael Newton, Dave, his books. Is it Life After Life? Yeah.
Yeah.
Life
Between Lives.
Life Between Lives, that's what it is. And he gets into the fact that a lot of us reincarnate in groups, right? They call it a cloud of people coming together. Do you remember?
Yeah, just your soul group or something along those lines. Yeah.
So you said when you met Diane, like it wasn't just attractive young lady, it wasn't just that. It was something different than that.
It was, no,
because Nancy felt that when she met me. When she said that my girlfriend under hypnosis, she recognized my eyes was her father's eyes. But to me, I was just attracted to her. I didn't. I thought she was just attractive. but she sensed something. So it's interesting that you really noticed something. So you're very sensitive.
Yeah, and our relationship just kind of it was. I mean, we had a long-term relationship because of circumstances, but
Long distance, yeah.
a long distance relationship. But certainly, I felt that there wasn't a long period of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Diane, how did you feel meeting Dave for the first time? Was this,
I
or
thought,
did you feel that?
well, he was surrounded by other women, so he was either dating one of those women or he was gay. So I wasn't sure. But I don't know, but it's interesting, Kathy, when the night that I met him, I had started a few weeks before that, I started a singles cafe because a lot of my female friends were single, but they weren't bar type people. They didn't go out to bars. So I said, well, why not do a cafe thing? And because they weren't that experienced in dating, I said, why don't we pick topics for these meetings, right? And so this before there were things like Meetup, and I don't even think Facebook was around yet, right? And so one of my friends showed up that night and she said, by the way, when this is done, this group meeting, I'm meeting a friend at this bar because it's his birthday. So I walked in and then I met Dave. So I think, I thought, Dave was an interesting guy, but I don't think there was a connection. I think because I had so much on my mind, right? At that time, I knew I was accepted into teachers college, so I was starting a new career. I was working in museums, and I left that to go into a new career. And so that was mainly on my mind more than anything.
I'm curious, has anyone done past life regression? Brian, I heard you said hypnosis. Did
Yeah, it was.
anyone? Yeah.
We did it in 2012. My girlfriend. So she recalled how I was her father in Nazi Germany, and I did past life regression at the same time with the same, but mine was more vague. I thought, yeah, I was in Germany, but it was just more vague where she was really reliving it. I could comment too, when I first met Nancy, I had a strong compulsion to go to this meetup meeting. It was a culture dining meetup, a Thai theme night in Shaughnessy at a mansion. So I had a strong compulsion to go, but I had a girlfriend at the time. So why did I have a compulsion to go to that meetup? And it was December 30th, the day before my birthday. So I went and then I met her. So I had some compulsion to go there. So that might be significant. But yeah, I did past life regression.
And when you did past life regression, how did you see it? Did you smell it, taste it, feel it? Did you see images?
Well, yeah, the hypnotist, she was very good. She was the president of the Canadian Hypnotherapy Association. She said to look at the pond, and the reflection of the pond was me standing from my previous life. What I looked at. So I did see an image of myself. My previous life was shorter, skinnier, not that good looking. It's sort of an image of what I looked like in that lifetime. So that made an impression on me. I had some sense of what I looked like. But I wasn't reliving this. My girlfriend was crying and reliving and experiencing it. So she was much better at it than me, but I got something out of it. Yeah, and I was convinced that I was in Germany.
Okay.
On these lines, Sarah, did you remember we went to the Spiritualist Church in Hamilton? And
Yeah.
have you continued to go there, or did you have any interesting feedback or experiences through that?
Oh, I've been wanting to go back, but it's just so
Mm.
it's hard for me to stay for so many days in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And my mom's 72, so I think she can only watch Charlie for so long throughout the day.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to go there. And they don't even have like a nursery or anything for kids. So I haven't been since then.
Oh.
Really. I'd love to get to go back because
Yeah.
that's a great experience.
It was interesting.
I'm curious,
Mm.
those of you who are into past lives or think about them or want to know what they were, I'm curious why you feel that way. Do you guys know?
Brent,
Um,
oh,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go, Kath.
That's a great question. In deep meditation, I just see my past lives, like and so it's significant sometimes because it's kind of like, the cliche is you don't know where you're going until you know who you are. And sometimes reoccurring themes of past life is showing your struggles, your pain, your happiness, your soul group. I did past life regression for fun because I was interested in psychic development and I wanted to know, am I interested in being a crystal healer? Then I reached a ceiling for that. Is this psychic world real? It's like exploring the world of spirituality. There's so many things to experiment on, right? Mediums, psychics, clearings, you name it. And to each their own. The longing for us to connect with something deeper. And the cool thing is that we have the willpower to decide what we enjoy. And for me, in deep meditation or even in curiosity, trying to explain my experiences as supernatural and not being able to share it with the group, finding communities such as these, you build upon you're not crazy, you're not alone. So when I see these images, they're glimpses, but it's kind of what Dave said earlier. How attached are we to kind of living in our past? And how much of it is we see like movies? Why do we listen to music that moves us sometimes? Or why do we listen to crappy music? Why do we watch movies? It's entertaining, right? So when we, and in deeper level, it can move us to the point of tears. It can move us and change your DNA. It can move us to be motivated because, and I'm sorry, I have to mention this, Sarah, what you said about your son and the Diane's connection about anger. If anger can translate, so can happiness, so can love. And they do say you are the 5 people you hang around with. So my question to you is, if you're going to be around business folks, you're going to be more business minded. Nothing right or wrong about it. That's what you're attracted to. When you're ready to delve into spirituality deeper, you're going to meet so many people along the way. I met so many people along the way. I saw so many glimpses of past lives that indicated you're on the right path and you can overcome this too. I've seen past lives where I fought in battle, where I lost children after children after children, right? Miscarriages, you name it, abusiveness. But then, and then it ties to, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship like that. I'm scared to lose, but you have to let that go. So these things come up to your conscience and your consciousness. So it bubbles up like the soup in a broth. I'm Vietnamese, so I can only talk about pho, which is beef noodle soup. And so the great the best broth is when you simmer the bones over time, right? And then all that gunk comes up. So in your subconscious mind, all that shit, all the happiness, all the things come up to the surface. And then the great thing is to be detached from that entity, from the ego. We're not our past, but the past, present, and future, the higher, like they say in yogic, when you're looking at it, there's really no past, present, and future. If you go deeper in levels of meditation, they're all happening at the same time. It's really trippy and it's quantum physics now. I don't know how it works, but if you go into stillness and go within, like you mentioned, Brent, we can see, we have the foresight to have the superpowers to then clear out that deep stuff that's holding us back from living the life we're meant to. For dharma, they call it, the purpose, whatever it is in this lifetime, right? I believe in karma. I believe in many lifetimes. That's just my framework, not to impose it on anyone. But what I have seen, what I have experienced myself and tasted and seen with my third eye, I can only speak from my own experience. That I see a lot of my repeated personalities, my fears, my happiness, in what I have glimpsed in the past lives.
I got a question for you and anybody else who says that they feel that they've had a past life. I'm curious what kind of a feeling that is to know that, because how do you know that these images are actually your past life versus just some image that's popped up into your mind?
Well, I could comment on that myself, but first, point out, recently I was listening to my teacher, Ajahn Soni. He's a Buddhist monk in Knutsford, has big influence on me. And he said that, past life regression, it's a common sport these days. Like it's a very common thing. But in the Buddhist time, well, I guess they didn't do hypnosis, but it's not recommended in Buddhism. Like it's not something Buddhists do. But of course, we definitely believe in past lives. He didn't say there's anything wrong with it. He's just pointing out it's kind of a common thing these days. Like, oh yeah, that's a good perspective. I think with me though, I've had significant incidents to Nazi Germany since I was a little kid and had astral travel relating experiences since I was 5 years old, of a swastika rolling over me as a kid when I was paralyzed in the vibrational state. So it's something very deep and ancient from my childhood. So this indicated to me, it's an indication. So then that's what one of my motives in doing the past life regression. And actually, the day we did it, because I was leading a one-day meditation retreat, and Nancy was there with a dozen other people, and she had this past life memory of me, of her father, right there during the meditation day, and she was telling me about it after that. And so, wow, let's do the regression hypnosis. So we called up the hypnotist, and 2 days later we did this. So I think I was really drawn to it, and I just want to know for my own satisfaction, kind of to get it like what Kathy was saying, just let it go. You acknowledge it, but don't get stuck on the past. I think maybe to some extent I was stuck on the past.
So, and to, my answer to your question is that experience is like nothing else. It's not like your imagination. It's almost, it's like having a vision. So it is, and it's rare. I mean, that was the other thing for me personally. It was like this, it wasn't, something that happened a lot. It wasn't daydreaming. It wasn't deja vu. It was sort of something really, a different experience. So whether it's absolutely true or not, I don't know, but it was something outside of any other kind of experience. So it was significant in that way. And I don't, like Kathy was saying, you kind of just let it go, and it does these things. Just, I never, after a certain amount of time, they weren't an obsession or something that I was trying to follow or recreate, but it was something that I just sort of felt that I knew. So yeah, it's just a different experience. That's all
If
can say.
I may chime in. Oh, sorry, Dave, I didn't mean to
No, I'm
interrupt you.
done. Thanks.
It's like intuition. People talk about it, and it's like a muscle. There is a blind man, and he made it on the news, and he uses a clicker to know the frequency of so he doesn't run into things. So when you are heightened in your, and this is claircognizant, audient, these are scientific things. It's not imaginary. So even in today's world, when a blind man can use a clicker to sense the frequency of walls, that's a superpower, we call it. But his sense is just heightened because he had to develop it because he didn't have eyes. It's not for everyone. But can you imagine these are why the people who walk before us to show us, whether they're called saints, monks, to show us that this is real and you too can model it scientifically. So it's like the power and use of using your intuition. And, it can be claircognizant. Like how I test it out is sometimes when I'm giving readings to folks, I don't know them, and the less I know, the better. But in my mind's eye, I see images and I tell them, hey, you've done this, yes? And sometimes I don't know who they are, but they have tears coming out of their eyes and go, how did you know that? And so you start trusting. It's a very feminine quality, not female or male, but there's the yin and the yang and the masculine and the feminine, the Shakti and the Shiva. It's been around 100,000 ever since the beginning of time. And so these are very real. These siddhis in India, they call that. But these are what we call New Age claircognizant, clairvoyance, clairsentient, you know. That's why when you engage with folks who are in these fields and you can sense or you play around with it, we all have that gift. And it's what you said, Brent, that everything's within us. but how many of us exercise that willpower and that intuition, and how? And again, to each our own. This whole world is our play field, and there's so many paths, right? Which is beautiful, because then it becomes a muscle. Just like how we see things with our eyes, but how this extraordinary man doesn't have to see, but uses a clicker to see where the frequency is and the vibration, so he can walk by himself.
You're really good, Kathy. You're really good. Very good.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up, whatever you're doing.
Brent, anything you'd like to add to this?
No, I guess I'm the only one here maybe, but I couldn't care less what lives I've lived, who I was, what I did. I mean, it has no appeal to me in the slightest. It just doesn't matter, because I hear this life that I'm living right now. And if I don't know, if I was somebody who in my own mind I would look up to, if that's who I was in the past, or if I was somebody who was a terrible person, what difference does it really make to me? I mean, I don't know. I just have a different feel about all this stuff. I think we're all one. I don't personalities and egos and stuff like that. I don't think that they matter at all. I think that oneness is where it's at, and the identities that I have keep dropping about who and what Brent is. But Brent's just like a character to me in my own mind, and there's something else that's much bigger than that. Some consciousness that's much more than that, and it comes from within. And once we all get together in this, then we'll be able to manifest the kind of world we want to live in. But it's right now we're separate individuals most of the time. Even to those of us who know we're more than that, we end up getting into separate individual kind of stuff. But I think the way out of the problems that we have on this planet is to be with what's happening in the moment to the maximum that you possibly can. And if you're with whoever you're with at the time, you should look for that connection down deep inside and speak from that place. And I think that's what's important to me. But I understand that if you've had that experience, and I have not had an experience like that where I went, wow, this was definitely from past life. I've never had that experience. And maybe if I did have that experience, I would have a different take on it.
But when we say, like Brent, you're saying we're all one, what evidence do you have?
Well, it's the same evidence you have that, let's say somebody says, what'd you have for breakfast yesterday? And you tell them it's a feeling, but it's a very deep, rich feeling, and it's far superior to myself as an individual. We're all the same species. We can communicate with each other. We all have eyes, and their bodies are very much the same. We're like other animals, but we have a higher sense of consciousness than they do. You don't find animals with language skills to be able to build radios. I mean, they just don't have the consciousness to be able to do that. So I think we're all the same species, and I think we all could be friends with each other if we could look beneath the differences, the superficial differences that keep us apart. And we're not trained very well when we're children, and so we grow up and we're prejudiced in various different ways. You may not like people that are not the same skin color. You may not like people that aren't the same sex as you are as much. There's all these things that can be in there, but I sense a really deep level of connection between all of us. And I think all the great teachers and masters that ever walked the face of this planet found that inside themselves. And once you find that inside yourself, nothing else makes any difference. And so, but you have to experience this. To know what I'm talking about, you definitely have to experience it.
But if everybody's looking within, what about reality, or what we perceive to be reality?
Well, you can do a much better job with reality if you are seeing the oneness of what's happening within you. Then you don't judge as much. Then you want to be one with everybody. Then you can understand people better. You can understand yourself better. It's not like you just go within and the outside world you try and ignore. I mean, we've got to live our outside lives. But I have a much better understanding of other people now than I ever had before, when I wasn't going deep inside. The more I go deep inside, the deeper it goes, and the more I know that everybody else is coming out of that same place. So it's a lot easier for me to live a life and accept other people and care about other people, the deeper I get within myself.
But
I think it's at the it's at the root of why we try to do, be charitable to people, other people, and we want happiness for other people. I think it's at the root that we feel like we are a part of each other, that we are all connected.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Brent. I think it's our capacity understanding. If all of us took a look at the painting Mona Lisa and somebody looks at her smiling lips while the other one looks at her hair, but that's what you're seeing and you're sharing that, who makes somebody more right or wrong? And that's why for me, past, present, and future, in my experience, there's no difference, right? And I do believe at the level of consciousness, we are all one. But in this external where we have to use words even though it's limited to talk, but if I was sitting here and I'm flicking you guys off, y'all gonna feel a certain way, right? So it's funny, right? We're internal, external, yin and yang. We got to do this dance with what they call Maya, this illusion, and then go within. So it's like hustle and bustle life, all this gunk, and then you have to go within, and that's the test. And that's why Brent, what you said, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I agree that we all have different capacities and different understandings. In the quote I shared, all differences in this world are of degree and not of kind, because I think at the level one, right, that's why are each of us here. Yes, we have our own reason, and we want to share, and there's so many things, and us making up this small community changes each of us, right? And Yogananda said that if you are even when you're shaking hands with somebody, you're exchanging energy. So the one who's the most calm and confident, they're not giving away. The one who's neurotic and filled with anxiety, they're like freaking out all the time. And they shake hands with somebody who's calm, they're getting that calm energy. So it's so fun, great how energy works. And it goes back to quantum physics, right? Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So we can move with it, we can play with it, and to each their own awareness of understanding. That's why I appreciate everyone here, right? Because we're not talking about the differences. We're saying, this is my experience and this is not my experience, but we see each other, right? I love it. Thanks.
Okay. Glad you're enjoying this, Kathy. Yes.
Okay,
Sarah.
Sarah.
Okay, Sarah. Good night. I know it's late
Good
there.
night. Yeah.
Nice
Yeah.
to
Nice
see
meeting
you.
Nice to
you.
meet you for the
Nice
first
to
time,
meet you
Sarah.
guys.
That's 11:30.
Yeah.
Kelly's niece. Good
Bye,
It's
to meet
Sarah.
you.
11:30. This is late for me as a mom.
Kelly's sister. Kelly's sister.
Helen,
Yeah.
oh,
Kelly's sister,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Okay,
Good
my
to meet
niece.
you.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I can go out to Vancouver.
Come
Yeah.
and visit.
Bring
It's-
bring Charlie.
Bring your son.
Yes, as long as he's good on a plane.
He's got to be
Take care.
vaccinated though before he gets on that plane.
Anyway.
No comment.
Talk to you later.
Talk
Have
to
a
you
great
later.
night.
Take care. Have a
Sleep
good night.
well.
Nice to
Bye,
meet
Sarah.
most
Love
of
you.
you. Good night. Love you, Dave. Good night, Dee.
D.
Yes, they call me Dee.
Dee Dee, Aunt Dee Dee.
Aunt Dee Dee.
I use the long form, Diane.
Yes. Well, I was trying to get them. Okay. I do want to thank everyone who has participated tonight. It's been fun. And Kathy, thank you for joining. I know it's our last one, but I'm glad you had the opportunity to share your thoughts and experiences too. So that's really important. And I do hope you check out the channel and explore some of the topics that we've covered in the past. Brent, please stay in touch with us. Like email us once in a while, give us an update, or we'll email you to get an update. And Brian, well, I always see you. You're in my territory, so. And thanks for joining, because Brian, as I said, he was in our very first video, so I'm glad you joined for the last one.
Wow, first and last, bookends, Brian.
Yeah, bookends, Brian.
Yeah.
And Dave, of course, for sharing your
It's
stories.
bittersweet, and and yeah, I'll miss it. And I guess we don't really have to say we won't ever do this again, but it would be something to think about, like Brent said, you know.
When the urge comes, who's to say it's not proper?
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I really felt that I had to, you know, do this, and it started November 10th, 2021. And I think, you know, that may happen again, right? But, you know, with spring coming and other projects I'm doing and gardening too, and the summertime where, you know, sometimes we're out traveling about, but, you know, who knows, in the fall or the winter.
And you can use
Yeah.
my Zoom if you want to, no problem.
Yes, thank you,
And
Brian. I
then, yeah, it
appreciate
was
that.
great that Kathy, you joined us, and Brent as well. I haven't seen you for a while. Of course, I kind of fell off as well. But yeah, I'm really glad you made it. Very nice to meet you, Kathy. And you made this a real great session for sure.
Yeah.
Can you put your email address in the chat, maybe? Or how can I get a hold of you, Dave, if I want to send you an email or something like that?
Oh, through Diane, or Diane can send it to you, or you
I can send it. I can
Okay,
send it to you,
alright.
Brent. I will.
Yeah.
I'll
Okay,
do that.
okay.
And
Yeah.
can you send it to me too, Diane? Because I know this is my first one, but you're such a great facilitator, natural, like how you
Okay.
do it. And
Yeah, she's
I
good
could
at
tell,
this.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Dave and Diane, the yin to the yang, the Shiva to the Shakti, a great balance, honestly. It's a dynamic duo and power
Dan's been in
couple.
management. She's really quite professional. She's very good, very well
Yeah,
spoken.
beautiful.
So,
I know her well.
Kathy, do you want our regular email? Is that what you
Yeah,
want? Okay.
anything, because I would love to keep in touch. In the future, I'm gonna
Sure.
plan to do like YouTube videos or out, you know, just I want to stay in touch because it's
Sure.
nice to be with like-minded folks in terms of folks who are interested in exploring the depths of, you know,
Okay.
themselves.
Well, Kathy, if you're
spirituality.
interested in UFOs and extraterrestrials, I got a meetup for that.
That's what
Oh,
Brian
I think
does.
I've been
Yeah,
to
folks.
it. Brian, I
Awesome.
think I've been to it. But
And
yes, I
prepare-
saw UFOs at Shasta. I gotta share with you my UFO
Wow.
story, so I'll go there.
Sure.
It's pretty cool.
Cool.
And just so you know, with Meetup, I still have Meetup for the month of April.
Oh,
So I
okay.
will edit this, I'll post it, send it out. So you will see that too. And then that will be the end of Expanding Your Consciousness Meetup for now. And we'll see what happens in the
Okay.
future.
And
Yeah,
when you
My
edit,
meetup link's in the
Oh.
chat for Kathy if you want to find it. or
Oh,
Brent.
Okay.
thank you. I think I went to your meetup. I loved it. And I met Brent and you there. And I forgot. Brent, I remember Brent. But yeah, I think I went to this.
Well,
before.
Brent wouldn't be in Brian's meetup.
Oh,
but it might
really?
be, yeah,
No,
it'd be in
no, you
yours.
saw
And
me. You saw me
in
at another
another one.
meetup. Yeah,
I saw you in
I think
two
Doris's.
Yeah, and another meetup. So it's nice to see you
Oh.
again, Brent. So I
Mhm.
just joined it, Brian. Thank you so much.
That's great.
Very
Cool.
good, good. Yeah, I'm on this Saturday with a Q&A session.
And Diane, when you edit, you don't always have to take me out. Every once in a while, I say something worth listening to. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
That's funny. I got it. I was like,
Dan deletes me all the
Fine,
time.
Yes, Brian I do, but Brent I don't.
Oh, Brian.
Okay.
All
Good
right.
night, everyone.
Good night.
thank you.
God
Bye-bye.
bless.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Dan.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Dan.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I'm heading off alone, but you should know I'm leaving you behind, but you're with me where I go. You've been good to me, as far as I can see. I never would have gone